scripture reading this morning comes from the book of Exodus, chapter 2, verses 11 through 14, telling a small part of the story of Moses. One day, after Moses had grown up, he went out to the people, and he saw their forced labor. He saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his people, and he looked this way and that, and seeing no one, he killed the Egyptian, and he hid the body in the sand. Then he went out the next day, and he saw two Hebrews fighting, and he said to one who was in the wrong, "Why do you strike your fellow Hebrew?" And he answered, "Who made you the ruler over us? Do you mean to kill me as you killed the Egyptian?" Then Moses was afraid and thought, "Surely the thing I did is known." And God added his blessing to the reading of his word. Well, if you are at the drugstore and you're walking around doing your shopping and you see someone there in the drugstore, a customer, looking this way and that, you might think of that person that they are up to no good, that they look shifty, that maybe they're about to steal something there in the store. If it's Thanksgiving and you're with your family and dinner and dessert and all of it is over and you see one of your relatives standing by the refrigerator looking this way and that, you might think of them. They are up to no good. They're after that last piece of pumpkin pie that is in the fridge. And you might think that, and you might well be right. If you were there so many years ago, there in the land of Egypt, and you looked at Moses, and you saw Moses looking this way and that, you might know right away that Moses is thinking about doing something that he should not do. The story of Moses and the crime that he committed is for us like a mirror, into which we can look and we can see ourselves when we do what is wrong. For all of us do. All of us break the rules, all of us sin, and we can see here perhaps how we deal with that and how it affects us and those around us, and God as well. Listen to it one more time. One day, when Moses had grown up, he went out to see his people's burden. And he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his own people. And Moses looked this way and that, and seeing no one, he killed the Egyptian. Well, the first jarring thing we see in this story is that Moses had a tell. As we have said, he was looking this way and that. He knew he was about to do something wrong, and he was looking back and forth. Whether it is Moses back then or us today, this is a sign of our guilt. This is a sign that we are contemplating, we are thinking about doing something we shouldn't. We are looking this way and that, and we do that because we don't want to be caught. We do not want others to see what we have done. Some of you may remember a movie from the 1990s called I Know What You Did Last Summer, about a group of young people who did something wrong. They were covering up the death of a stranger that they were involved in, and they thought they had gotten away with it. They thought everything was okay, and then they started receiving notes saying, "I know what you did last summer." Of course, in the course of the movie, there are a lot of scares before the eventual resolution at the end of the movie. But suppose you got a call like that. Suppose somebody reached out to you, somebody sent you a note, an email, a text saying, "I know what you did." What immediately would your mind go to? What act would you be thinking of? That act that I feel guilty about, that I was always worried would come out. I'll tell you, it's a lesson to us, this story from Exodus. So we may look this way and that, we may look around, we may think that nobody is seeing us, but chances are we are being seen. Someone else is seeing what we did. It didn't take long for the news to spread about Moses killing this Egyptian, something he thought was an absolute secret. It's something for us to consider. It's something for us to think about. As we are standing there and we are looking this way and that, chances are we shouldn't be doing. And one thing we can remember, one thing that may help us, is that someone is likely to see. Even if we think we have it hidden. You know what? One person that definitely will see. One person that will definitely carry this knowledge of what you have done around for the rest of the life is you. You will remember. And that's another thing to keep in mind as you are looking this way and that, thinking about doing something you shouldn't. You will not forget that thing you have done, because if you are like me, if you're like most people, you are your own worst judge. You are your own hardest critic. You are the one who's going to hold a grudge over things that you have done for the longest. Someone is likely to see. You will definitely see. You will remember. And another thing to keep in mind, too, is God will see. And your actions, if they are sinful, will break God's heart. The story of Simon Peter, as he's in the courtyard denying Christ 3 times. One of the Gospels adds the note that Simon looks this way and that around the courtyard. Did anyone see me? He wonders. And his eyes fall on Jesus, who stared right at him. Who's seen it all? He knew it was going to happen. He predicted it before it did. And Simon at that moment broke down and wept bitterly. As we face some great temptation, it is important for us to know that, yes, someone always sees. It's not someone else, it is ourselves, and it is certainly God. But another thing that we need to keep in mind as we look at this story is the way that Moses did something else that we often do when we do something wrong. He tried to hide the body. Hide it away so nobody could find it. He quickly dug a grave there in the sand. He pushed the sand over the body, thinking, that's it. I will just bury the body, and this will go away, and nobody will know. And how often we do this in so many different ways in our lives, not only by hiding what we have done from other people, but also the ways that our mind works. If we have done something that we feel guilty about, one thing that our mind will often do is make us more critical of other people, particularly other people who have done the same sort of thing we have done. We will be more critical of them in our minds, but we'll also be more critical of them publicly often. This is a sign that something is wrong within us, that we're likely hiding something. It's just one of the ways that we try to cover up our guilt from ourselves, being critical of others, gossiping about others. We also might become very busy and very active, trying always to be so active we don't think about our guilt. We may try to cover it up with recreation, with entertainment, keeping our minds busy in that way. We might even try to cover up what we have done with alcohol or with drugs. All of these, sand poured over the body of our guilt. But you know what? The wind is going to blow, and the guilt is going to be revealed. It's something for us to know and to remember. You cannot hide that guilt away. An archaeologist found an old house in England. They dug it up, and they found over the doorway in stone written this old blessing. Now, I've always loved this blessing. It's, Lord, protect us from ghosties and ghoulies and four-legged beasties and things that go bump in the night. Yeah, all that fear that we have, and the natural fear of going to bed, and God protect us when we're in our homes. But the thing that jumps out at me always are the things that go bump in the night. Well, something goes bump in the night and wakes us up. How often it is our guilt. Bumping in the night, waking us up. We may think we have that body all buried, that we have that guilt pushed down, but then those nighttime moments come, and we hear that bump in the night. And we're disturbed out of our slumber as we are reminded of our guilt. Yes, we try to bury the body, but how futile That always is. So we look this way and that before we commit our sin. We may try to hide the body afterward. But there is another thing that Moses did that we often do, and that is quite simply to run away. Moses ran away. It's part of the story I did not read today, but of course the very next thing that Moses does is to run off to Midian. He is afraid of his guilt. He is afraid of being punished for it. And so off he goes, and there in Midian he has a wife, and he has a child, he has a whole family and a job. Everything is all set, and he still carries that guilt with him. And when God is calling him to go to Egypt, calling him to free his people, Moses objects over and over. No. And finally God has to say to him, Moses, the crime that you're worried about, all of the people who wondered were seeking you because of that crime, all of them are gone. You don't have to worry about that crime anymore. And that is one of the things that convinced Moses finally to follow God's instruction to go back to Egypt. There are a lot of lessons here in this story, in particular that we look at and say, well, what? As we try to decide what we are to do in our lives, as we are facing some temptation in our lives, something we really want, something we feel like in some ways we deserve, when we are facing some choice and we just cannot decide what is right and what is wrong in that moment, we can remember Moses. And we can say to ourselves, if we want to look around before we do so, left to right before we do it, then it is likely wrong. If we want to hide the results of what we have done, so that nobody ever sees it, buries it far away, even bury it from ourselves so we don't think about it and we don't remember it, then it is probably wrong. If we want to run away, get far away from our guilt, then what we are contemplating in that moment is probably wrong. Something for us to remember, but even with all of that, we will still make mistakes. We will still sin, and we will do some beauties as well. Not just what we think of as the little sins, but the sins that really hurt us, hurt others. That is going to happen. And when it does, this guilt that we have buried, inevitably, the sin gets blown away, and we feel it, we see it again. Through our best efforts of getting rid of it, we can't. The one thing that we can do with that sin or that guilt is to take it to God. God can take care of our sin, can take care of our guilt. The scriptures say that as far as the east is from the west, that's how far God takes your transgressions from you. The scriptures also say, though your sins are as scarlet, they shall, with God's help, be made as white as snow. We may be guilty. We are guilty. But that is the point of the gospel. Is that through Jesus Christ, God reaches down and takes away our guilt, gives us peace, gives us forgiveness, and grants us a brand new beginning. In a sense, then, this is what we can do with our guilt. If we have sinned, if we are guilty, we cannot erase that guilt. But God can. God does. God wants to. As we remember this, if we accept this in our hearts, then it doesn't matter how often we have looked this way and that. It doesn't matter what we have tried to bury. It doesn't matter what we have tried to run away from. God's forgiveness can be ours. And we can walk in joy in gift of your forgiveness. And loving God, thank you for the sacrifice that was required. Lord, help us to see and to remember that each day. Help us also to take our guilt to you, so that this gift of forgiveness does not go unaccepted by us. And God, help us to take and make use of it each and every day. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen. My friends, if you are looking for a church home, I would invite you to come forward now during the singing of our hymn invitation and join with this church for confessing your faith in Jesus Christ. Lord, thanks for your membership. Let us stand now as we sing that hymn of invitation, number 465.